Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are like you basically know hair, but that's not what we're talking about today. We are talking about the NBA season. As we know, it is kicking off soon. We have my NBA predictions, where I think everyone is going to finish, and where I think everyone is going to stand. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, if you want to skip through and see where I put your team, this video is in alphabetical order by team, so you can just skip through at the bottom if you want, or if you would like to hear me talk, you're more than happy to do that too. We are going to start with the Atlanta Hawks. So the starting five that should be for the Atlanta Hawks will be obviously Trae Young, Bogdanovic, Gallinari, Collins, and Clint Capela. They have quite a young squad actually. They have 9 players that are born in 1998 plus, and Trae Young is one of them. Obviously, we knew what they did last season. They came 5th in the East and got all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals before losing at the hands of the eventual champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. I think Young is going to have an even better season this year. He averaged 25.3 points per game last year. I reckon he's going to average about 27, 28 points per game this year. They did bring in Delon Wright. I know a bit about Delon Wright. He did play for the Raptors back when we used to get swept against the Cavaliers every year. So he will be great off the bench. He can get around 10 points on a good day. And Lou Williams will continue to be his 6-man role that he always has. And Young obviously is a top 10 point guard in the league, so to have him still there, especially since he signed a max contract, is great for them. And I do expect Atlanta to finish 8th in the East, because the Eastern Conference is strong, very strong. I had a hard time predicting the Eastern Conference, because let me tell you, it is a strong conference. Now, Boston Celtics, disgusting, but their roster is a nice roster. We have Marcus Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford, and Enes Kanter. Now, Horford and Kanter return. They used to play for Boston Celtics. Al Horford, obviously 35, getting old, but their lineup has 3 All-Star caliber players who we know. Horford has been an All-Star, Tatum is an All-Star, and Marcus Smart is definitely up there, could be an All-Star. Horford and Kanter returning will add experience, as they're on their 15th and 10th years in the NBA respectively. Tatum is still young and is continuing to boss the league. So he'll probably have an even better season comparing to his 26.4 points per game last season. I think he will hit 27 points per game mark. Horford and Kanter will bring double-doubles probably every night to their team, which is great, which means that they can win offensively and defensively in terms of rebounds, which will help them with attacking efficiency and defensive efficiency. This Boston team will score plenty of points. I think losing Kemba Walker was a big blow, but Marcus Smart is probably the best in his position in on-board defense, as well as Drew Holiday, who we will get into later. But the Celtics will finish one better off this season and take that 4th spot in the East. They'll take that Champions League spot. Next up, we've got the Brooklyn Nets, who, as we know, have a stacked roster with Kyrie, Harden, Durant, Griffin, and DeAndre Bembry, who was at the Raptors. They actually do not have a center. And a key issue is the injuries. If these players get injured again, I don't think they're going to be where I put them. But if they can stay strong, we have a solid side. They don't have a center. So I think DeAndre Bembry from the Raptors will probably have to play center. He did play a few games in the center position, so he can do that. I would like to see Patty Mills instead of Kyrie in a few games. Not being biased here, I just think that this team needs teamwork and leadership rather than individual brilliance, which Kyrie Irving, obviously being one of the best ball handlers in the game, always tries to do, and same with James Harden. And they need that in order to win as a team, because at the end of the game, it's a team sport, it's not an individual sport. Harris and Patty Mills will be 6th and 7th man, maybe even rotate that around, but the bench is pretty weak. I think Patty Mills and Joe Harris will be great, and they've also just brought in Paul Millsap, which is a great boost for them, another guy with experience. Durant will be the standout player, where he had 26.9 points per game last season, and I'm calling it now. He will have an MVP caliber season. He does every year, but I think this year he will stand out. And the Nets will finish at the top of the East. But I don't think they can go the whole way yet. I think they're just missing that core of playing with. Yeah, they played last season together, but they weren't together. Most of the time, Harden was out or Kyrie was out. I think they need another season or 2 before they can really hit the ground running. But they will come first in the East, and I think they'll get a 50-win season. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets. Their roster consists of LaMelo Ball, Bridges, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, and Plumlee, who is a new addition. They have a great bench actually, which can easily drop about 10 points each. They're easily in that middle range with Kelly Oubre, Terry Rozier, and Bismack Biyombo. And Reggie would definitely be a nice sixth man for them. Ball had to improve from his Rookie of the Year season. He had 18 points per game season, as Hayward and the rest of his team will provide experience for the 20-year-old. I think LaMelo Ball needs to hit the 20, 21, 22 mark in order to help the Hornets at least make the playoffs, but I don't know if that's going to happen this year. They feel bottom 20 for offensive rating, which has to improve for them to push for a playoff spot. They did make the play-in last year. They didn't go far. They lost in the first round of the play-in, but they will finish 12th this season. Now, the next team I'm very excited to watch, actually, very, very excited. This is the Chicago Bulls, which I put as the team to watch. DeRozan, this is my prediction. DeRozan will be an All-Star again. He hasn't been an All-Star since his days at the Raptors, but he will be an All-Star again. And Zach LaVine will have a breakout year. He averaged 27.4 points per game last season, but I think he will do even better with an amazing team around him, and I'm looking at a 30 points per game season for Zach LaVine. Their roster, I mean, just look at this five. Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Thaddeus Young, and Nikola Vucevic. LaVine, DeMar, and Vucevic have all been All-Stars. So to have 3 All-Stars in your squad in a team that hasn't made the playoffs for years is just awesome. The Bulls lack many big men though. I mean, they got rid of Lauri Markkanen. Yes, they brought in Derrick Jones Jr., but they still don't really have many big men. A small team could be good for them. They're obviously playing small ball, but this means their shots will have to be more efficient as they can obviously get out-rebounded. But, as I said previously, Derrick Jones Jr. will be solid for them. Caruso and Kobe White will be great off the bench. I can see Caruso being a solid 6th man and adapting to that role throughout the season. And I think the Bulls will finish 5th in the East and go back into the playoffs. But DeMar will be close to his highest points per game season at the Raptors, which was 27.3. And it is yes, I think that hit is high and they might not gel, but I have full faith in this team. Next, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I almost forgot about them when I was going through. For some reason, I skipped them. Maybe I'm just still butthurt about all the sweeps. But yeah, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers next. They have added Ricky Rubio, who had a great Olympics. Their roster would probably look like Colin Sexton, Rubio, Okoro, Love, and Allen, which to me is weak. As we know, they're a rebuilding team. They've lost a center and they've lost Dellavedova. So they're weak in both the center position and the shooting guard position. They only have 3 shooting guards and 2 of them are rookies. So that's not very good for them. That's why I've had to pull Rubio as a shooting guard. And I think they're going to come 13th in the East. Not really much to say about them. Next we have Dallas Mavericks. Their roster will probably consist of Luka Doncic, Green, Hardaway Jr., Porzingis, and Boban Marjanovic. Doncic can play point guard or shooting guard, which is great for them, but the backups are not the best. So if Doncic is gone or injured, their backups aren't great. But there are plenty big men off the bench. Bullock, Powell, and Willie Cauley-Stein. Doncic averaged 27.7 points per game last season, but I think he will climb into the 30s and be in MVP contention. I think he might even make top 3. And they'll finish 4th in the West. Denver Nuggets, a team that is consistently good for some reason. With the roster that they have, I think is really good. I like them because they don't need superstars, but they can still perform great on a daily basis. So Murray, Barton, Gordon, Porter Jr. and Jokic would be their lineup. Obviously Jokic MVP last year. This team has heaps of guards. They're not a good team on paper, but as I said, they always deliver results, which is awesome. Murray will have a good season. I don't think Jokic is going to pull MVP numbers this year. I just don't think so. I think all the teams are getting a lot stronger and there's a lot more players that can get it. And the Nuggets will come 3rd in the West. Detroit Pistons, still a mediocre team, which is building. Some new additions in Dennis Smith Jr., Hamidou Diallo, and Kelly Olynyk. But I think their roster will look like Corey Joseph, Cunningham, the rookie, Grant, Lyles, and Olynyk. Cunningham will be up there for Rookie of the Year, but I think he'll go to Suggs or Barnes. I'm not being biased, but Suggs and Barnes had a very good summer league, and that's obviously what we can base it off currently, because they're rookies. Right? I mean, I don't watch college ball, so I can't really base it off that. Olynyk can definitely get rebounds for them and help the young team in terms of leadership, but I think they're going to come last in the East, so they're going to come 15th. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors. Now, mark my words when I say this is an MVP year for Curry. I think the MVP this year will go to Steph. He should have got it last year, and I think he'll get it this year. I think he's going to have a point to prove, and he's going to want to get that MVP back to him. And I want him to catch up to LeBron, because I can't stand LeBron. The starting lineup will be Curry, Thompson, that's if he's fit by the season, but he is practicing and shooting around and things like that, so it does look good. Draymond Green, Wiggins, and Wiseman. Lacking in the center position, but Curry will help the Warriors in their Western Conference spot. Iguodala is back to bringing that experience because he knows most of these guys anyway, so that will help them. Curry had a career high 32 PPG It might be lower with Clay, but I still think he can deliver an MVP season. And they have decent rotation on the bench with Poole, Porter, and Iggy. But they'll come 8th in the West, so they'll just clinch that play-in playoff spot. Next up, we have the Houston Rockets, which John Wall says he will leave the team, so pulling a bit of a Ben Simmons there. Slight improvement with Austin and Bradley, however, Wall leaving them will be a huge blow. Their lineup will probably look like Augustine, Gordon, Green, Wood, and Tice. Experienced and young blokes on their lineup, but Green will be up there for Rookie of the Year. Augustine does not grab as many points for a starting PG though, and he's been all over the place, so I don't really think that's very consistent for them. And they're going to come 14th in the West. Next up, we have the Indiana Pacers with Brogdon, Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert, TJ Warren, Brissett, who did play for the Raptors, and Domantas Sabonis. Now they have good centers. They have Miles Turner and Sabonis, well, great options, but they are weak in the small forward position. This to me is not a playoff team. I feel they'll do worse this season because everyone in the East again is getting stronger, but they're not. Unless Karis LeVert can improve from his 20.2 points per game last season and maybe get 25, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And rebounding will win them the game because, as they say, they've got Sabonis and Miles Turner who can just get double-doubles from so many rebounds. And Sabonis is an all-star. And they're going to come 11th in the East. Just missed out on that play-in spot. So with the Clippers, you have Bledsoe, Batum, George, Ibaka, and Ibaka. Ibaka. Kawhi is out, so that's a huge blow for them. Too much load management for him. Cross City rivals have improved while the Clippers have stayed consistent with their team. I mean, yeah, they brought back old players with Rondo and Bledsoe, but Rondo will provide that leadership. Same with Marcus Morris. I think Bledsoe can have a great season, but I think he's kind of overrated. I think he was good at the Bucks, but the Bucks make a lot of players good, but I think they're going to come 6th in the West. LA Lakers, I do not trust this process. This team is old and lacks depth. Not much chemistry apart from LeBron being mates with everyone, and if they wanted to check players for trading, they should check with him. Actually, 6 of the 12 oldest players in the league are at the Lakers. There were also probably look like Westbrook, Ellington, LeBron, AD, and Jordan. There's not much depth. If one of these players is injured, and they will still make the playoffs, Westbrook will continue to do what he does and get triple-doubles every game, which will be crucial for this season. But the 6th-man shout could definitely go to Carmelo because he's obviously not going to start over LeBron because LeBron's going to have a little whinge, as he always does. And they're going to come 5th in the West. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies, this is probably the team I have the least on because the Memphis Grizzlies just stay the Memphis Grizzlies every year. I mean, they brought in Steve Adams, which is cool. But they will have Ja Morant, McDermott, Anderson, Jared Jackson Jr., and Steve Adams. Dunn, they signed, he can provide 10 plus points off the bench, which would be great for them. They have some good big men. Marc Gasol's back in Memphis, however, they do lack in the shooting guard position, but they will just sneak in with the 9th seed. Now, Miami Heat makes me sad to really say this team. Still, Lowry, Oladipo, Butler, Robinson, and Bam Adebayo. Definitely a top 3 team for me. Lowry bringing experience and hustle, and he's always up there in charges, which we know. And they've also brought in players that have won championships. Markieff Morris, PJ Tucker, and Lowry. And if Oladipo is fit, I expect a big season for him. He wants to make a statement that he's still relevant in the league. He's still an all-star. Butler will have a standout season, in my opinion, looking at an all-NBA first team compared to, I think, his NBA third team last year, and he got 26.5 points per game last season. Young guns as well off the bench with Tyler Hero, ready to learn off Kyle Lowry, and they're going to come 3rd in the East, but I think they're going to blow it in the playoffs. And honestly, I don't mind that because then Lowry can realise they never should have left Toronto. So imagine the Raptors knock them out even better. That'd be so funny. Next up, the Milwaukee Bucks, the reigning champions, do not need to improve on much. Their roster stays the same. Drew, Pat Connaughton, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez. Will they defend their title? We shall find out. Added some minor improvements with Rodney Hood. He's not the best. He got him from us. They lost PJ Tucker, but they don't have another center but Lopez. But obviously their team is so adaptable that anyone could play anywhere. This will come back to hurt them, but Giannis will have a Defensive Player of the Year season, and I feel that he will get that award again. Big shout from me, but I think it will happen. He's got to win something, doesn't he? He's just got to win something, and they're going to come 2nd in the East. The Minnesota Timberwolves, D'Angelo Russell, Pat Beverly, Karl Anthony Towns, Taurean Prince. Not much bench depth, which hurts them, but a much better team than that of last season, and I feel they will just miss out on the playoffs. In fact, if they do, this will be Patrick Beverly's first ever NBA season without a trip to the postseason. Fun fact for you. Carl Anthony Towns will continue to shine in the Timberwolves, and I like that he stayed loyal to them after all these years, and they will be 12th in the West. And they've also got players that have been an all-star, like D'Angelo Russell and Carl Anthony Towns, and Patrick Beverley is a good defender, contrary to what many people believe. Next up, we have the Pelicans, my favourite bird, with Graham, Hart, Ingram, Zion, and JV. Definitely a big man-centered team. Some great bench players with Jackson Hayes, Thomas Satoransky, and Garrett Temple. Ingram and Zion will all be all-stars this year, and major improved squad, and I think they're going to get that playing spot and they're going to come 10th. Now the New York Knicks, mark my words when I say this, that Derrick Rose will win 6th Man of the Year. Yes, you've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. As much as I've heard say Ingles might be in the running and will not win it, this is the D Rose that we're talking about. Kemba addition will be huge, and I can see him in the most improved conversation with Freddie VanVleet. Now their roster: Walker, RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, Julius Randle, and Robinson. Great roster. Let's be real here. Definitely a playoff team who does have a weak center position, but Fournier will be a boost to their squad who had a great Olympics and easily grab about 15 points a game and had it. And D Rose, who have the ingredients to have his old self back and be that 6th Man of the Year. Randall will still be great, and they're going to come 7th in the East. Next up, we have OKC, probably the worst team in the NBA. Aussie man Giddey helps them out. Other than that, they've not really improved. Their roster will be Giddey, Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander, Dort, Davis, and Bazley. I look forward to seeing Giddey and Shea work together. That'd be awesome. Definitely the worst team on here. They don't have a center, so it's a very young squad. So they're obviously in rebuild since they've lost all of their big stars. OKC's team will let down Josh Giddey, 2 in Rookie of the Year, but he can definitely make the all-rookie first team. 15th in the West with the worst record in the NBA is where I'm going. Another rebuilding team, Orlando Magic, who have Suggs, Ross, Akeki, Ennis, and Robin Lopez. I thought Raptors were going to get Suggs, but they didn't, and Suggs went to Orlando. Once again though, experience is where they lack, and they have lost their core players just like OKC, and it'll be another disappointing season for the Magic. They have some good centers though with Lopez, Wendell, and Mo Bamba. And they'll finish 14th in the East. And I think Jonathan Isaac will be back and ready to go as well. Philadelphia 76ers now, a lot of you guys might not like this, where I'm going to put them. But obviously Simmons is going to be out the door, so they've lost a huge defensive player. However, Matisse Thybulle is a great defensive player who will probably take his spot. And their roster will probably look as with him, Seth Curry, Tobias Harris, Scott, and Embiid. Drummond coming off the bench could be a shout for 6th Man of the Year as well. Green will continue to deliver off the bench sometimes, but Simmons' loss will be detrimental to their team. But Thybulle is also a great defensive player, as I mentioned. I'm tipping them to go very down this season, not the first seed anymore, but they're going to come 6th. It is harsh, but I just don't see them performing. I just really don't. Phoenix Suns. Keeping CP3 will help the team, and I feel like they can win the title this year, get CP3 that ring that he's been waiting for. Their roster looks nice with CP3, D-Book, Bridges, Crowder, DeAndre Ayton. Young on the bench as well with Cam Johnson, who's also experienced on the bench with JaVale McGee, Dario Saric, and Cameron Payne. And CP3 and D-Book will be all-stars again, and they're going to come 2nd in the West. Portland Trail Blazers. Dame Dollar, CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, Covington, and Nurkic, a nice, solid Western Conference team. Lillard is going to step that up again, as he always does. Do not count out Powell. He can definitely have a standout season. He's always been a great player. They have lost a few players in Rondé and Derrick Jones Jr., but they will consistently be a playoff team in the West, and they're going to come 7th. Sacramento Kings, another poor team, weak team, with De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Holmes, and Tristan Thompson, which is a good addition for them. Again, not much playoff experience. Obviously, they have Thompson, who's won a ring before, but the team has definitely improved, but not in comparison to the other teams in the West. They need a few more pieces to improve their team and a lot more all-star caliber players. They'll be 13th in the West. Spurs, no improvement. They've actually lost the core to their team. Russell will look like Murray, Forbes, Johnson, Samanic, and Jakob Poeltl. Adding Aussie Jock Landale, but he will have limited minutes. Another young team, and they're again rebuilding, and they'll be 11th in the West. I put them this high because Popovich is a great coach, and he's not going to settle for coming the bottom, especially with his mentality. Toronto Raptors is just a summary because I did a whole video on this. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. The lineup will probably look like Freddie VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Anunoby, Siakam, Precious, Dash, Boucher. Center position is always adjustable with the Raps. I think VanVleet's going to have a standout season. This is his season to prove that he is one of the best undrafted players ever to come out of the league. And I think he'll be an all-star this year, and he'll get most improved player this year. Boucher was always also up there for sixth man, if he doesn't start, obviously, because he always is up there for that. And Dragic will obviously bring in the experience, and I think Barnes can rotate with Siakam for starting, and Scotty Barnes will definitely be up there for sixth man rookie of the year. We will have a much better season. It does not help that we lost Lowry, but we will be 9th in the East. So we'll still make it. If we do not make it, mark my words, this channel will be gone. We do not make it. Mark my words. Even if it does happen, I probably will still keep it, but you never know. Utah Jazz, consistently good. They've added Hassan Whiteside and Rudy Gay. What does their team look like though? Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gay, Bogdanovic and Gobert. That's a solid team. They'll have some nice additions again. They'll continue to perform from beyond the arc and from the bench. However, he can give Rudy a run for his money, and I see Clarkson getting another award. It doesn't matter what award it is, but he's obviously good to come off sixth man of the year. I think he has a good shout at it, and they'll be first in the West. Now the Washington Wizards' major overhaul. They lost Russell Westbrook. They've added some nice additions. We've Spencer Dinwiddie will be the roster with Bradley Beal, Kuzma, Harrell, and Thomas Bryant. So that means Harrell won't really get 6 minutes a year for starting, but they have heaps of forwards and not many centers. Plus, I'm not sure these new additions will make the Wizards jump any further in the standings. Obviously, they've all played together at the Lakers, but I think they'll make the play-in and they'll come 10th. So yeah, those are my predictions. Let me know what you think. Comments below. Tell me what I thought about your team. So yeah, this has been my NBA predictions for you. Thank you all for watching, and as always, do not forget to
subscribe to Mavro Productions.